Hello everyone, this is a voiceover, so keep that in mind, but today I'm just going to go through the tarot decks that I own, starting with the Hermetic Tarot, and then I will do a little unboxing for you at the end. So just getting started here, this is the first deck that I ever purchased. I did get it while I was on vacation in New Orleans, so it does have like sentimental value. But if you're looking at this and you're like, I've never seen this deck before, nobody ever speaks about it, it's because it's very particular. I have only ever done like 2 readings with this deck, and honestly, both of them were when I first bought it, like within the 24 hours of me purchasing it. It does hold sentimental value, and I do like it for that reason, but it is not at all beginner friendly. Like this is, I don't even know if it's like experienced tarot reader friendly. It's a lot. I don't know what about it drew me to it. I never use it. I do apologize if this is like one of your favorite decks, but it is just not for me. The imagery is very specific and there's a lot to it. I'm sure if you're into numerology or astrology, this might be good for you, but I'm into neither, so she doesn't get used very often. Next up, of course, I feel like you can't have a tarot deck collection, especially as a beginner, if you don't have the Wild Unknown Tarot by Kim Crayons, excuse me. This is a really beautiful deck. As you will see, I will open it up in just a second in the video, but I wouldn't call this particularly beginner friendly, just in the sense that it doesn't really have a lot to go off of on the cards, but it is stunning. And as you can see, I kind of show them, I think I'll show them a little more later, but the backs, yes, the backs of these cards are my favorite backings of all time. They're so beautiful. And you're seeing the art here. It's really stunning. I feel like, I don't really know what else to say about this deck. Everyone knows it. It's really, really pretty, and I think it's probably my most used just because it was pretty much the only deck that I ever used for several years. But artwork is stunning, really beautiful. I did do the edges myself, so they don't come black. I did paint those myself. But 10 out of 10 deck, it's just something I don't really reach for that much anymore. I would say that this next deck needs no introduction, but apparently it does because nobody ever talks about it. This is the Neon Moon Tarot deck from Pixel Occult. I got mine off their Etsy page. I think they might have a website now. I haven't checked back in a while, but oh, this deck is quite literally my like soul deck. If I ever truly want to read cards for myself, I only ever use this deck. Like nowadays, but it really hurts my heart that nobody speaks about it. It is kind of a particular deck in the sense that the artwork, as you'll see, it's called the Neon Moon Tarot for a reason. All of the colors are very bright and vibrant, and we do have some very futuristic cyberpunk-esque imagery, so I get that that's not for everyone. That being said, I would call this a beginner-friendly deck because I think it is really accessible in terms of the visuals, but also the little guidebook in this is my favorite little guidebook of all time. Obviously, I love this deck so much, but it is really amazing, and I'm typically pretty meh about guidebooks. This one, though, is very stunning. Alright, next up we have the Arcana playing card / tarot deck. This is by the company Dead on Paper. Would recommend purchasing from them. My experience was really great and I love this deck. This is also opposite end of beginner friendly. We do have the court cards and they are amazing, or excuse me, the majors, and the court cards I think are illustrated in this one too, but every other card is essentially a pip card, and that is because it is a literal playing card deck. This card here that I'm showing, it does include some like magic trick cards. There's a couple of them in there. But the imagery of the majors and the court cards is some of my favorite of all time. That Lovers card that I just showed is my favorite Lovers card ever. This is the Devil. I think I also show the Justice card, but they're so beautiful. It's really amazing. It's just a little difficult to read if you don't know the meanings off the top of your head. This next one is the only like novelty deck that I own, and it is the Movie Tarot. I think you can get this off of Amazon. I believe I received it as a gift, but I believe that's how they purchased it for me. I am going to kind of let this play. I don't have much to say about it. I don't do very many readings with it, but if I'm doing any like fun little readings for other people, this is definitely one to reach for. Just because given the majors and how they're all movie characters, it's easy for people who have never read tarot cards a day in their life to kind of get the gist of it. But as you saw, all of the court cards are, it is a pip deck in that sense. But yeah, I'm going to kind of let it play. I don't use these very often. Also, just a note, the cardstock on this or in this deck is the worst I have ever experienced, which is also, part of the reason why I just wouldn't really grab this deck. But it is really cute and super sweet and kind of like a coffee table book version of a tarot deck. This next deck truly needs no introduction. This is the only version of a Rider-Waite-Smith deck that I own, and you'll see when I open it, oh my god, they're so beautiful. I have a love-hate relationship with RWS decks. I like the imagery, I like the artwork, I just hate when they're so vibrant or when the backs are god-awfully ugly. This, though, is like a happy medium. As you can see, the imagery and like the artwork itself is really, really muted. I know that's not for a lot of people, but it is definitely for me. I do not like the radiant version of this deck. I think it's so vile. And the backings, I don't know if I fully show them, but they're not too bad. They are completely reversible, which I do appreciate in specifically an RWS deck. I don't typically read reversals, but if I do, it's with this deck just because I feel a lot more comfortable with this one than I do with any of my other ones, given that it's kind of the blueprint of every single tarot deck known to man. But yes, I do enjoy these muted colors, and the back is okay. So this is the only RWS deck that I ever intend on owning. Okay, it's time. I purchased these 2 new decks from James R. Eads over at Prismavisions. Oh, these have been like dream bucket list, I don't know what you'd call them, dream decks essentially of mine for so long. As you can see, I did get the little satchel wrap pouch case things. You can't really see it on camera very well, but they do have an eye embossed on them. I'm trying to show it here, but it doesn't show up that well. But either way, I have wanted specifically the Cosmovisions deck for a really long time. I just didn't have the expendable income to purchase it, but I'm doing okay now, so I did get 2 of them. I'm first gonna open the Cosmovisions deck. This is a classic. I think it's on its like 7th or 8th edition is what I ended up getting. So it's been around for quite some time, but I remember it being like on Kickstarter. Again, just at the time I did not have that kind of money to spend on decks. But I did finally get it here. I won't talk too much over the rest of this. It's just so beautiful, so stunning, so gorgeous. I am incredibly obsessed. Go ahead and just enjoy, because I just can't say enough good things about this deck. Okay, so I won't go through every single card in this video, but if you are interested in seeing that, I would recommend either Light One's Tarot. I think there's a tarot at the end of it here on YouTube. I'll link her down below. She has a flip through, I believe, of this deck, as well as a couple other James R. Eads decks, as well as The Truth in the Story. She has actually a side-by-side of the two decks that I'm going to show you today. So if you want a more in-depth look at both of those and how they compare and contrast, I'd recommend checking those videos out. But again, I will have them linked if you are interested in those. And then here, this is the Light Visions deck. So like I mentioned, there are a few videos here on YouTube showing the side-by-sides of these two decks, because while I would say it's like 80% the same deck, aside from the fact that obviously this is a more monochrome look, this Light Visions deck. And then, of course, Cosmo Visions is very colorful. But a couple of the cards, which I will show you in just a second, are slightly different from one another. So like the Fool card and the Magician, primarily the same, and you'll see that for a lot of the court cards. Excuse me, oh my god, I keep saying that. A lot of the majors. But as you'll see here, the Emperor card is pretty different between the two. So it's just kind of here or there. The Chariot's a little bit different, just the headlights you can't see as well, and the bird's in a different location. And then the Strength card is practically identical, other than, of course, the fact that the colors are very different. But the one thing that really draws people into this deck, other than how stunning the artwork is, are these court cards. They are panoramic. Again, you can look up videos. They will show you them all laid out, and I will link those in the description. But they are panoramic, so it's like one big piece of art that connects, as you see here. So, so beautiful. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this video was a little bit different. We'll be back to regularly scheduled journaling content very soon. But I was just very, very excited about this. And if you're interested in more tarot content, please let me know, because again, this is like something that I really, really love, and I would love to talk more about it. But either way, I'll see you when I see you. Thank you so much for watching.